people do a yearly plan, a weekly plan, and maybe like a daily plan. But do you know what they miss out on? A monthly plan. But exactly that is so important to get an overview and a breakdown of your goals so you can stay on track with them. Today I show you that monthly planning doesn't have to take up a lot of time, but how it can still make a big impact on your life using Notion and a journal. First, quickly for some context, I divided all of my goals into quarters. So I'm working on quarter one right now, and I have goals that I just work on the entire year. And that is why in this video, I'm only gonna focus on the goals I set myself in this quarter and for the whole year, because the rest is irrelevant right now. With that said, let's start and look at my Notion. So this is how my 2026 Notion planning looks like. If you don't know how I ended up on this Notion planning, then I have 2 videos about this, of how I set up my Notion for 2026. So if you have any questions or you want to implement something into your life, then definitely go and check them out. Here I can go to my quarter quests, where I just have the goals for this quarter, which is the only thing that we're focusing on right now. And the first step for that is basically look through all of my goals and just make my first thoughts about it. So I just go step by step through them, and I think about how is it going in general with my goals. Then I answer in my head the question, how much priority do I give this goal? Am I happy with how far I got with this goal? And how do I want to pursue with this goal the next month? This is just to get like a broad overview already in my head of where it's going good, where it's going a little worse. I have like around 10 goals, so it's really easy to focus on them because it's not that many, because I split them up, which really helps to really take the time and look into each goal. So definitely recommend not setting yourself too many goals for the beginning of the year, but kind of like split them up. And after I have like a broad overview with how it is standing by each goal, I go more into details. For that, I still have open here my quarter one goals as I had before. And here I'm back like on my main 2026 page. And here on the side, now it's a little shit, but like you see here the reviews, and that's the first step we're gonna do now. So a little confession, I didn't do my January planning or like review yet. And it has been a while, so I thought I'm gonna do this in this video because it kind of life got in between, let's say like that. So we're gonna do this now, and I show you that as an example. So we have here now 3 different colors, and that stands for red, it is going bad, yellow, it is going okay, and green is going good. And now I'm gonna go through each of the goals and put them in one of these 3 sections and see where they're standing. So for example, we have here on top, live with my cycle, so cycle thinking, which I looked a little bit into, but definitely not as much. So I would say this is like yellow. Then something that went really well, we have another example, is lowering my whoop pace of aging, and then it was going really good. So that would, for example, be a green one, because I just truly a lot of times daily looked at that, worked towards that, thought about how I can make it better. So I really put a lot of effort into that, and I think like also over time, like consistently did it. Then something that is not going as good, we have stop addiction, social media. I have been a little bit in the rut hole of just being on social media, and that is, for example, something I really didn't follow through, and that would be, for example, something that is red. Okay, so now we have, for example, here my done review. It is important, I think, to just listen to your feeling. Like, even though you probably didn't do like the perfect thing or so, if you're just happy with how far you came, I think it still deserves like a green. And you don't have to worry if there's still a lot of things in red, because the year only started, like you still have so much time to achieve that, and that is completely normal that stuff is just not really working how you probably want to. What can help as well is when you, for example, have kind of more habits that you have in your goals, like for example, I have visualizing and manifesting. I also love to check like the app that I use to track my habits and see there in general how it was going, because there you just see like black on white if it was going good or not, if you find it hard otherwise to even really remember what you did the last month. With that done, we're gonna pick out our journal. because now it is time to reflect on this last month. You also know a little bit now how it is going with your goals, but of course there's also other parts to your months. There's not only your goals, and that is the time where I pick up our journal and do some journaling. Now, to save time, I'm not gonna say all of my journaling prompts that I use. I will just put them here and you can take the ones that you want. You can also add other ones, search for inspiration, search out the ones that you like, and just implement them and journal about them in your journal. Then as soon as you're done with the journaling, however long you want to write, however in depth you want to go, we go back to our Notion. So this is still my 2026 main page for my goals, and here we had the reviews, which we did, but underneath we have the highlight and the lessons, and that is the next thing that we're gonna look at. I did this already the last year and I absolutely love it, because you can just look back and see all of the highlights and the lessons that you had in the last year, get a quick overview, and I think it's so beautiful to look back on. I think both of them explain themselves with the name already. By the highlights, you just write down the highlights that you had in that month, and by the lessons, you just write down things that you learned in that month. It can be very broad as I am very grateful to have that and that, or I learned that I need to take breaks as well, or a little more specific around people, situation, whatever you want. I love to write that down because I'm always looking back and I see of how many things I learned, and I learned so much. One constantly learn, and maybe one doesn't even appreciate that one doesn't really write it down. So I think that's a really cool thing. And highlight in general, because highlight you can just look back and be like, wow, I had an amazing year, or I had amazing months or whatever. So focus on that. You also don't have to write full paragraphs of story. I think bullet points are enough, because you will read them and you will think back on whatever happened, and then you have the memory again. Everything we did until now was looking back on the month that passed, capturing what happened, reflecting how it went, and now it is time to look forward to the next month. So this is the point where we switch to the other side and we look of what we want to focus on the next month. How can we work on the red goals that are not going as good right now, so the next month they can also be in yellow or in green. For that, I do love as well to start with some journaling, because I really love to first even write down my thoughts about what I think about next month, to kind of get an overview and some structure into my thoughts in my mind if I write it down. You don't have to do that, but I do recommend to use a journal to do that. You can also do it online, of course. And I'm also not gonna bore you again with the questions. Here are some questions that I use. Choose the ones that you want, add the ones that you want, remove the ones that you want, so it works for you and your needs. As soon as you've done that, we are going back to Notion. Now we're back in here again on my quarter page. So here are my quarter goals that I have. And down here, it's gonna open a new world, which is for every month I have some more specific planning, which is of course gonna be important now. What I have here is basically I'm writing down which goals I want to focus on, because a quarter is 3 months long, and I do want to even get more specific and be okay, then I want to focus in January on that, in February on that, and in March on that. So break it down even more. I'm writing down which goals I want to focus on in the next months. Also think about which goals were red, which goals were yellow, and which ones I probably don't even have to really focus on anymore because they're just working or already did them. And writing them down here. This is maybe a little unstructured than the rest of this, but I just like it, and I like to write down as well, just in general other things that I want, projects that I want to work on. You can think about how your next month is going to be. I, for example, know that my next month is going to be very hectic. I think about, okay, what other rules could I put into my life? For example, waking up always around the same time, having a daily structure, and I write this down here as well. So I just, every time when I go in the morning through this page here, I see them and I remember, okay, that was my intention. For me, it is enough to just write down the goals I want to focus on, mostly the red ones just here, but you can also make up a new page and be like, write down these, or like put them somewhere on your main page, or however you use it, put them somewhere in your room even if you want, to have the overview and see which one you're lacking or which one you want to work on, and then write down actionable steps underneath it. But I'm gonna just look weekly on this and see, okay, these are the goals I want to work on. And then when I do my weekly planning, I just look on these goals and be like, okay, so what can I implement on these goals so I can move forward there. And what I do there as well is to plan in my monthly things that I want to do. So I instantly have them in a calendar. I don't forget them. I have time scheduled, and I don't have to like make time somewhere in between my schedule to put them still in, because I put them in now in the beginning of the month. And the last thing that I also always do, which is like together with my end of month list that I also have in my quarter planning, is to look at my finances. I think it's a good time to monthly look at your bank account, see where your money is, how much you have. If you have a budget or like a budget plan or something, that is now the time to look at it and like analyze it or whatever. I don't have one, but what I do is write down each month what my net worth is, because I think it's very interesting to see. And this is how you do an easy monthly planning. If you want to know how to set up your new Notion so you can work with your goals, or you want to know how I set up my Notion, which is working really, really well until now, I'm really happy, then check out my videos, my 2 videos here. And yeah, I wish you a very good time. See you. Bye bye.